2020 marks 25 years since GoldenEye premiered, and GoldenEye is just amazing. Let's just talk about GoldenEye. So, the pre-title sequence is probably one of the most well-shot, well-paced, well-written pre-title sequences in the entire series. You have obviously Bond doing the bungee jump. It's iconic. It's all seared into our memories. If it isn't, then well, what's wrong with you? Watch GoldenEye. It's so good. Alec Trevelyan, played by Sean Bean, is probably one of the best villains in the entire series, and even beyond Bond, I think he's a fantastic villain. He's a villain with a personal connection to Bond before this became some sort of cliche or something they had to do. This was fresh and exciting and interesting in 1995. Not many villains, if any, before 1995, off the top of my head, had a personal connection with Bond. So it's really interesting. Pierce Brosnan, of course, in his debut as Bond is just so good. It's probably one of the best James Bond debuts. I mean, generally James Bond debuts are pretty solid. But Pierce Brosnan had to basically revive the series after 6 years of nothing. The Dalton films I really like. I will defend the Dalton films till I'm blue in the face, frankly, but they didn't really chime well with the public, at least at the time. Nowadays, people will happily talk about how good the Dalton films are, but at the time, people were fairly neutral or downright didn't like them at all. So, Pierce Brosnan's job was to basically get people passionate about Bond again, and GoldenEye's box office was really good. It's far better than License to Kills, and people really gravitated towards Brosnan. There was now a whole generation of people who probably didn't really give a pig's arse about the previous Dalton era, who were now geared up, ready, and excited about Bond. There were a generation of people who may not have even been alive when License to Kill came out, who were now buying as much merchandise as they could, who were young fans, admittedly, but were buying so much stuff. And this kind of started off a real, I think, a Bond craze that hadn't been seen since possibly the 70s or the 60s in terms of a real enthusiasm across the general public for James Bond stuff. Video games, books, toys, and of course the films. And GoldenEye has obviously the debut of Judi Dench as M. Judi Dench is absolutely fantastic. I mean, how could Judi Dench not be? And then you have Boris, who's just such a great character, so much fun to watch. And Natalia, great Bond girl. Xenia Onatop, great femme fatale. Henchwoman, she's just iconic, really. There's so much to GoldenEye. It's 25 years old, and GoldenEye has aged seriously well. It's, if you compare all the other films and look at, their 25-year-old point, GoldenEye's aged the best. Can't compare it to Tomorrow Never Dies and all the other ones afterwards because they're not 25 yet, it wouldn't be fair. But GoldenEye has aged exceptionally well for 25 years old. I can't believe it's that old. When I watched it a few months ago, because why not? Why wouldn't you? And I thought, this can't be 25. This must be newer. And it's not. It's 25 this year. And I think it's very modern, very refreshing. So much change from the previous movie. And yet they kept Desmond Llewellyn as Q. And I just like that little thing they did. He's not in it much. They didn't have to. They could have easily got a younger guy in to play Q. But it was just such a nice thing. And his scene with Pierce Brosnan, it's just really great. I think GoldenEye marks the beginning of the modern James Bond era. You have the sort of Albert Broccoli era from Dr. No to License to Kill, and then you have this new era, starting with GoldenEye, where Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson are running the show, and they still are. And GoldenEye marks the beginning of a new era of Bond. Not just a new Bond actor and a new M, but so much more besides that. That's quite hard to really put into words. And of course you have the amazing theme song by Tina Turner. The whole package is just absolutely fantastic. Martin Campbell is probably the best director that there's ever been for Bond. He directed 2 Bond films, both with the task of introducing a new Bond to the wider audience, and from kind of to different degrees to revive the series. And Both of the Martin Campbell Bond films, GoldenEye and then later on Casino Royale, are absolutely fantastic, almost flawless, and pretty much are flawless movies, and they're both very different. And I think that makes you realize makes you appreciate his abilities as a director. That the movies aren't the same. It's not like Casino Royale is a carbon copy of GoldenEye. They're both very different, and yet they're both very, very good. Anyway, 25 years of GoldenEye, and yeah, happy 25th anniversary to GoldenEye. It is absolutely fantastic, and the fact that it's still regarded as one of the best Bond films ever made, if not the best, after 25 years, shows that it really is as good as people say it is. Anyway, those are my musings and thoughts on GoldenEye. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.